play here. And when you look at India, there's just so much potential, especially with these mega cap tech names. I mean, you look at Microsoft, Google, AMD, these are the perfect companies to be there. And they've been incredibly strong this year. Specifically, when you look at this quarter and you compare last quarter, Microsoft had an incredible breakaway gap post earnings. It was up 7.7%, and it's just continued to trade higher. This is very bullish going into July. Typically the last week of June, it can be a little bit soft in the stock market, especially in tech, but into July, this is an incredibly bullish time. So I'm looking at Google, AMD, and Microsoft to trade higher into their earnings reports.
Okay, Danielle, stick with us. Some Starbucks stores across the country organizing a strike over claims by the union representing the baristas that the company is not allowed to display Pride Month decor in cafes. Kate Rogers has the details.
Well, Morgan, after a public clashing over displays of Pride decor in cafes, Starbucks Workers United says over 150 stores have pledged to begin a week-long wave of strikes across the country, kicking off just in the last hour in Seattle. Now, the stores that have pledged to strike represent nearly 3,500 workers. Several dozen more stores will be voting on strikes in the days to come. Not all of the stores were impacted by those allegations of changes to policy over Pride decorations, but they are striking in solidarity with the other stores, the union says. Now, Workers United has alleged instances in 22 states, pointing to social media, where baristas claim evidence of a policy change on decor. Starbucks, for its part, has maintained there has been no change to its policy on Pride decorations and says it has unwavering support for the LGBTQ plus community, adding in a statement, quote, Workers United continues to spread false information about our benefits, policies, and negotiation efforts, a tactic used to seemingly divide our partners and deflect from their failure to respond to bargaining sessions for more than 200 stores. The company says local store leaders have the ability to make their own decorating decisions within the company's security and safety manual. So a lot of back and forth between the two parties there, guys. Back over to you.
Yeah, Kate, this is in a way a replay, right, of what we saw happening with the NFL and other sports leagues, the kneeling controversy, it's patches and things like that, where once this is inflamed, both the workers and the customers, right, everybody sort of wants to weigh in. Do you have a sense of what's the truth here? Has Pride decor at Starbucks been a thing that they've been doing for a long time, and they're stopping now because now, some customers are reacting to it in a way that they didn't before, or something else?
That's not the sense that I'm getting, John. So Starbucks has said it has unwavering support for this community. It's allowed decorations in the past, and the company really does maintain that there has been no policy change. But we've gotten some instances from baristas across the country, and once again, the union's been really good about documenting this on social media, saying that they've heard from regional managers that there needs to be, uniform decorations across stores, that they're going to decorate differently this year. There have been some instances of Pride flags being taken down from windows. Starbucks says that its safety guidelines don't allow for things to hang in windows because that would block views and obstruct views from in and out of the store. So it can't hang in the window, but perhaps it can hang elsewhere in the store. So it's once again an instance of the union saying one thing, the company saying another. There's social media documentation of different things going on around the country. The union says this has happened in 22 states. That's quite a large presence, and obviously these strikes across the country now in response, this is gaining momentum regardless of who says what, right? This is already a thing. We've got some footage, I believe, on the ground from what's happening in Seattle. There are about 24 workers or so, but that one location where the first strike happened today did have to close, so that does have an impact there as well. So we'll see how this plays out over the next week, but both sides are kind of really digging into what they say their side of the story is.
Okay, Kate Rogers, thank you. Danielle, how do companies handle growing social unrest, and what's your take on Starbucks specifically? I mean, there have been a number of companies where we've seen these types of back and forth really just in the last couple of weeks.
So, the issue with these companies is that regardless of which side they take, they cannot win because they're going to be alienating half of their consumer base. And so when you look at something like Starbucks and then you compare that to what has occurred with Target, Anheuser-Busch, we saw pretty significant downward price action in both Target and Anheuser-Busch. And regardless of what they do, they haven't been able to recover those losses in the stock market. So I think that investors need to be concerned whenever a company is experiencing these kind of social issues. And specifically with Starbucks, Starbucks has broken down on a technical basis. It broke down below 100. You're in a bit of a short-term bearish pattern. And I think that below 100 is a short. And if it falls below about 97, it could easily gap down to 85. And you have Disney in there as well, you know? So if you look at Disney, Target, Anheuser-Busch, I mean, all of these companies, it's a little bit problematic